All right. I told you I'd tell you a really cool story about communication and Elton. Before he moved into this house, he did not have any communication books, no formal way to communicate. And, well, he did. And here's what it was. At 3 a.m., he went to the bathroom on a second floor, broke his window, jumped out, and went to a 24-hour gym. I happen to also work at Export Gym in the evenings, so they knew me, and they told me that they ended up calling the police because he comes in and he's in like pajamas, no socks, he doesn't talk. They say, "Excuse me, you need to sign in," and he's like, "Ah," and he walks in and goes over to the weights where a gentleman was doing some bicep curls, and they said that he tried to lift this huge dumbbell, and he was like trying to do exactly like the guy was doing, and realized like he couldn't because it was too heavy. So then he went over to the treadmill and looked at this lady and was like, push the buttons that she did, and all of a sudden it goes fast. Well, sometimes women, when they're running, their ponytail kind of bobs. So apparently he was going like this. Like, and she thought he was mocking her. And so she went and told, and so the police come and they're like, "Oh, it's Elton." And they take him home and they tell me, and I said, "Okay, so who's getting the gym membership for him?" And they're like, "What?" I go, "That was communication. He jumped down 2 stories, well, from the second story, and went to a gym. And it was a 24-hour gym, like at 3 in the morning. Like that, if that's not communication, I don't know what is." So I worked it out with the park district. They gave us, when I told them that story, they gave him a free membership. So I'm like, I want to be there the first day you take him. And it was so cool because he like couldn't believe it. He'd like point to like the rowing machine and go like this. I'm like, "Yeah, you can use that." And he's like, he'd point to another thing and point, "Yeah, you can use that too." Like he was so amazed that like all of this was his, right? So, but now we have in the communication book where he doesn't have to jump out the window. He can actually ask to go to the gym. And then the park district was very nice that they said whoever brings him could actually work out too, because I said he really needs someone to model it for him. Otherwise, he's just going to follow people around and like do what they're doing, and it may not be the best for him or the right weights. So it's pretty cool thing that now, you know, I was saying like a lot of our members were using other ways to communicate. They were communicating, but just not very appropriate. So now he can use his book to communicate he wants to go to the gym. So, excuse me. So all the bedrooms had visuals. This was obviously Dinah's because it says bra. On where to put stuff away, which again, it was all about building independence. So you just did your laundry, you dumped it on your bed, and now you're folding it and you're putting it away appropriately. Or if someone's like, "Oh, hey, you know, you got your shirt dirty, go get another shirt, throw that one in the laundry basket." Oh, this is a great story. So I myself have never had a front-loading wash machine until my new place now. So now I get it. So Dinah, one day, I get a text, you know, like, "Emergency, come to the house. Dinah did something." So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what is it?" So I come in and they said she took all of her soaking wet clothes out of the washer, folded them and put them away. And I go, "Awesome." And they're like, "What?" And I go, "I mean, the fact that, you know, independently she folded them and stuff." And then I'm like, "Well, she obviously like didn't know, put them in the dryer." But then when I went and saw it, it was a front loader. So to me, it looks like a dryer as well. So she opens it up like, "What the heck is going on? Why is it so wet?" But folded it and put it away. So then we just put this on it that said like when that's the washer and not to open it until it's done. And then we have this whole visual that put it up then in the dryer. But it's just perception, right? Like I was super excited and they were all like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" I'm like, "She did what by herself? That's awesome." But the visuals in the laundry room are amazing because there's so many steps, right? And we found, I don't know about you guys, the pods. And someone who was telling me the thing about the shampoo, they were pouring the whole shampoo, using a whole thing of shampoo, right? So you use the little, so the same thing here is they're like, "Oh, they're pouring all the soap in." I'm like, "Get a pod." "Well, now they're putting all the pods in." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, leave one out for the day." Like, let's be creative about this. So it just depended on, what works for the individuals. But what I tell the staff that's so important about these visual, basically task analysis, is so that we're all doing the consistent thing, because we know that our students with disabilities and our adults with disabilities don't always generalize information. If you do something differently, it's almost like teaching them different. So if I'm teaching someone how to wash their hair, and I say you put the shampoo here, then you put it in your hair, and then tomorrow's staff says you put the shampoo here, and then it's like, that's two separate things, right? So I'm like, this way, we task analyzed everything, and I said, everyone has to do it this way. This may not be how you do it at home. So when I did the training, I asked everyone to write down the steps of how they did laundry, and there was like 7 different ways. Some people put the soap in first, then their clothes. Some people fill it up halfway with water. Some people use pods. And I'm like, that is the reason why I did this, is because to show you that your 7 staff are working in this house, all doing it a different way. That would be super confusing. That might be why some of the members are not learning the skill, because everyone's doing it differently. And I said, so we're going to pick a way. We're all going to buy into it, and we're going to make a task analysis to follow that. So this one I did a visual check-in for not only the members, but for the staff. It's the member's house, and they have the right to know who's in their house. And Elton checked it every morning. I think he had staff he liked versus staff he didn't. So he wanted to see who was there in the morning. So he would look at it, and you could see him scan it, like, oh, all right, they're okay. But, and also, like, if a member was on a home visit or at a doctor, I just thought it was really a nice thing to do, to let them know, like, basically who's in their house that day. Oh, this should have been up there, but this is the whole no mini blinds. They just could not handle them. I don't know why that. Oh, and this is the picture of the drapes that were, I'm sorry, we also did Velcro any area rugs, because we found that Philip, if that rug was not perfectly straight in the middle of the living room, if when you walked over to maybe one like this, oh man, he would not be happy. So we even Velcroed the rugs down, so they were very straight and stayed that way. So what worked? So this, Philip is the most exciting. So Philip lived in a home with some people with autism, some with not, all guys. His SIB was so bad, he really didn't go to a day program. He basically didn't leave the house, which is so horrible. The data showed, and I know this sounds like a huge difference, but it was 2 to 52 SIBs per hour, every hour he was awake, every day. He has hit his eye out of the socket. He has busted eardrums. He has put his jaw out of the socket. It was always usually around his face, usually. When I was monitoring the data for the house, I was like, oh my gosh, why are they forgetting to put Philip's data in the system? And I go to the house, ready to, and guess what? There was no data to put in. They're like, no, he hasn't had SIB for, God, weeks. I'm like, wait, none? Like all day none? Not only did it go literally to 0, all of a sudden he has like this voice that I've never heard before. I'll walk in and he'll go, huh? And I'm like, oh, hello. And when I leave, he gives me a little verbal as well. I'm like, who is this guy? And he smiles, and he's a pretty good looking guy. Never seen any of that. So Philip, I think, was the best example of how having the right environment with the right supports and the calm environment and the visuals and the sensory room was so important for him. He probably also utilized the sensory room the most. Dinah was probably the most impactful for her, was the use of that communication book. And then just in general, just more and more independence. It was such a calm environment. So when we first advertised within the agency that we were opening up the autism home, that we needed staff to apply. Like, nobody wanted to work there. I could not. It was so hard to fill a shift. After it was open a month, everyone wanted to transfer there. Because I think they were worried about, I'll just be honest, the 6 people we picked in the homes they were in were the most challenging. They had the most behaviors that were used to communicate. And I think when people saw the new Dinah, the new Philip, the new Devin, the new Dwayne, the new Destiny, they were like, oh my gosh, I could work there. That won't be exhausting. That is pretty calm. So that was probably the best thing staff-wise that came out of it, because there were a lot of empty shifts those first 2 months, and people were working doubles, and the manager was, working overnights, and it was really hard to fill. So these things really helped to make it more desirable. So what wasn't working was still that follow through with visuals with fidelity. Some staff, those like long-term staff, I think I wrote that, yeah, been there for decades. Their response would always be like, well, I know what Destiny wants. I've been with her for, whatever amount of years, or I know what he wants. I know. So there was some staff that just, they don't believe it, for lack of better words. Still a lot of staff turnover. That's the issue with the whole kind of agency or our whole department. But, and the hard thing with that was always having to retrain new staff then, right? So staff would start and they weren't trained. So, I'd have to get in there and get some training, and still the people wanting to do for rather than teaching. So those things still were definitely a struggle. And the fact that we had so many supports just to move them in the house that they thought once they moved, like, okay, we're done. I'm like, no, that level of support needs to be continued. So next steps for that is continue training, even though they're now called Envisions. The house is still intact. The staff, they're just now employed by someone else. Still needing those random drop-bys, the modeling, more communication books that are more, I guess, like tailored to the specific needs of each one. And now they want to open additional homes. Yeah. Not new members. So the members, so the 6 are still there. It's more the staff that needs the ongoing training because the turnover is still until they want to move out. Yeah, like until they, if anyone asks to move out. So right now they're all loving it.
I don't know if this is a plan at this time, but then if someone were to move out and you were to move someone else in, is it just saying like, this is the open room? Do you want to live in this room? Do you want to repaint it? Do you want, how do you plan to?
So that's such a great question, because that was so new in the agency to give so many choices. So Newman then started going, oh, I guess Mo's right. Maybe we should do that for all of our clients, members. So they started doing it. So now Envision, like I said, bought them, or I don't know what that's called. They took them. And they had a different philosophy. They fill beds. So we're working on getting them to have that same mentality. So the thought still is, if someone decides to move out for whatever reason, relocating or just wants to move out, then we would have the house open up for a room is open, provide it as a choice. And then, the fact is we'd say this is the only room that's open unless someone wants to trade rooms. Oh, which by the way, Elton and Devin changed rooms on their own, kind of. Elton kept going in Devin's room. I guess he determined he liked it better. So then one day they came home from day program and Elton went into Devin's and Devin went into Elton's. So they're like, do you guys want to trade rooms? And he's like, yes. So they traded. So that can also be an option if someone does move out, to say, all right, here's the open room, unless you want to ask someone if they want to move. But yeah, and we would let them paint it too if they, yeah. It's a hope. Hopefully Envision
And to be consistent with what we have done in some of our state centers and other institutional settings, when there's a bed vacancy, that's like an administrative issue. But when you're working with the resident or the consumer and their caregivers about their preferences and their choices, if that means painting the walls to Cub colors instead of Packer colors, you do what
you absolutely do it.
So you got to ask the question.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. That, we have
one more question, Mo.
Oh, yeah.
Or comment.
I have a question about, moving somebody in and how the other residents would maybe react to that and how you would handle it if it was adverse reactions.
Yeah, that's such a great question. So we did, for instance, have one of the guys that lives here a year and a half ago moved into a different group home in the agency, and it did not go well at all. And the other members were complaining and wanting to move out of their home then, and it was really challenging, because then where does he go? I know it's all about choice. We were able to find another opening at another place, and we basically gave people options. It's definitely not the best case scenario to keep moving people, and we just keep saying, well, it was their choice. It was their choice. We did do some training with, I hate to use the words lower and higher functioning, but for lack of better words, when Dwayne did move into this house, the other two guys were very, very high functioning. And we actually taught them how to use some visual strategies with Dwayne. One of their biggest complaints was he would come home and take the remote control, put on People's Court, ironically. It's not Rain Man, but he would do that. And then take the remote and leave the room and do his pacing. And the guys would get so mad because they don't want to watch People's Court, and they would say, and he's not watching it anyways, but he has the remote. So I taught them how I made a visual schedule, and it was a picture of each of them holding a remote. So it would be like a picture of Dwayne holding the remote, and a picture of Josh holding the remote, and a picture of, I'm forgetting the other boy's name, and basically a 1, 2, and 3. And I taught the actual other two individuals how to use it and how to be fair and trade it off each day. And they literally, the one guy said, who lived there, said, wow, that really worked, because they'd come home and say, no, you're number 3, like, give me the remote, and he would. And then if they go, today you're number 1, put on People's Court and go do your pacing. So there were some strategies we tried to implement to help that relationship, but then as soon as a place opened up somewhere else, Josh did end up deciding to move out. I know it's yeah. That's what we did. Yeah.
Just a moment.
Oh, it's recording. What did you do for your strategies in order to teach them that they had the ability to move if they wanted to?
I don't think I was involved in that. I'm trying to think if, yeah, I think just like at their IPP meeting, is that what you guys call them? IPPs or ISPs, or what do you call them? ISP? Okay. I think just at then they talk about your living arrangements. Do you like living there? Do you not like living there? Do you want to move? And then plus the state case managers are supposed to make a certain amount of visits with all of the people on their caseload. So they're supposed to ask them if they like their day program, if they like their home, if they like their housemates. So I think it's more on those levels that it happened. We didn't actually like say, do you still want to live here? Do you want to move? Like, we didn't offer it up that way. But if anyone ever did communicate it, we would address it. But that's usually how it was done, through their case management with the state or at their ISP meetings. Yeah. So let's see, what did we learn from this? So can parents provide supports at home, and how can the schools help? So this is definitely something that I took away from this, because I spent so many years in education. And I have a ton of friends who have adults currently living in their home that have autism, or not even adults, maybe still teenagers. and kids, and how can we do some of the stuff that worked in the homes, and how can the schools help support that?